The last time, this stupid little H4n recorder, you hit record, that's only like staging the recording. Right. You have to actually hit record again.
So you didn't.
So I didn't record it at all. I hate that thing.
Are we live?
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Hey, guess what?
I can't find my power cord.
Hey, guess what?
What?
You need to move over.
Oh.
You're encroaching on my business over here.
All right. All right.
I like you. Not that much.
I don't know. I really wish I knew where my power cord was.
So do I.
Because take it over his laptop.
Yeah, she's up in my business, y'all. Okay. So the heater has stopped. I think we're good to go. Well, I'm feeling a little staticky. Like, you know, when it clings a little bit, I need like a dryer sheet to rub on my hairy belly. It's the friction between the hair and the cotton that creates the static, and it draws it all in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, ready?
How are you guys feeling?
Did you hear anything back from Casey?
No.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
I have not. Very low audio. Well, I can't do anything about that.
Well, turn up your volume.
It's his job.
Can someone confirm everything on my end, audio-wise, looks like it should be working? So if someone has low audio, maybe it's just them? Yeah, Kevin says it's loud and clear. That's one data point. Also, you know what? It's Josh Doolittle, and most of the time, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
QoS.
So there's that. He goes, oh, my speakers weren't on. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Okay, you think we're ready to start? You got a couple things to show?
I have
We got a t-shirt thing to talk about.
Little gift.
You guys like my shirt today? I know, right?
He picked that out himself.
I picked that sucker out myself at Target. Okay, let's get started. So, hey, it's Friday Live. I'm Mark.
And I'm Nicole.
And today we're going to do a show about woodworking. We got some things to show off. We got a new t-shirt design if you want to get in on a pre-order. And we've got tons of questions.
Guild sale.
Yeah, there's a guild sale this weekend. Sale.
The theme was clocks, and we have one clock. The grandfather clock.
Yeah.
That's on sale.
Okay. The whole clock collection in the guild is on sale. All one project.
I got my Kathleen Turner voice on because I'm still recovering from this cold that just will not quit.
And we are working off of one laptop today, which is
I can't find my power
sometimes
cord
a bit of a challenge.
to my MacBook.
I'm getting dinged over here.
That should be interesting.
Okay. All right. So do you want to get started with that, or you want to do the t-shirt thing?
We got a nice little gift here from Jason Stromberg. He has a business called CatalinaCastells.com, where I think this is a CNC. Is it CNC?
That does not look like something someone did by hand or laser.
And he says, thank you so much for all the information and hours of entertainment you provide us. The ornaments are just a small thank you for all of that, which I think you make them, which is cool. You kind of, the kids, I'm going to have the kids
I'm going to
do
guess this is laser cut, just because the fine line.
Laser.
And also laser
burned.
doesn't burn usually, so that burnt.
Laser doesn't burn?
No, it does.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like it's browned on the inside, which
it's cool.
It looks laser cut.
I hope you
a hell
enjoy.
of a small bit.
I hope you enjoy the broken ornament counter. We usually include numbers 1 through 6, but since we're talking about Dougie here, we sent along 7 to 12 too.
Let me show him this.
I'm telling you, I think he's up to 7. So Jason, thank you. He's eaten so many.
It is an ornament counter, and it's got a little bulldog silhouette here.
It's perfect.
It says, ornaments broken this year so far.
It almost turns it into a game. Like, what's Dougie going to eat next?
That's not a game I want to play because it's usually my new pair of boots or Ava's new boots or something like that. So let's.
But or the new ornament. And yeah, so he has, I think, he's up to 7 ornaments. So Jason and Kat, thank you so much. That is so nice.
I'm not being rude here. I'm just shutting off cameras,
some Wi-Fi,
and things just in case to conserve bandwidth. Usually we don't have to do that, but Josh had me thinking about QoS. So.
Oh, Dougie doesn't have my power cord. He doesn't mess with like.
Thankfully, yeah, he doesn't go after electrical items.
It was I lost it. I don't know where it is. It's around. Somewhere.
I had the battery packing and I lost it.
I lost it.
All right. What else? Oh, you know what we got? So look, I didn't think this T-shirt was a good idea.
What?
Not this one.
There's
a T-shirt pre-order that we're doing, and it's because people asked for it. The picture that we posted is kind of funny. I always get a laugh when I see it, but a bunch of people were like, hey, if you put that on a t-shirt, I'd buy it. And I'm like, well, okay, let's see what happens. So this...
Our friend Cashel, who used
the
to
history
do,
on this.
So I used to do a podcast called The Movielicious, and Cashel would do, it was me, Patrick, and my friend Mark, and we would just talk about movies. And so we would pick a movie poster and she would put our faces in them. Do you remember the Alien one where I was a little alien?
Yeah, she would do incredible Photoshop work. So she took the Big Bang Theory Bazinga poster with Sheldon Cooper in it, and he's really kind of praying mantis contorted in a weird way. But she took that because people were making this joke about Babinga and substituting that for Bazinga. So she put my head on his body.
Somebody originally did a
Someone
bad
did a
photo.
really bad version of it,
So I
but
was
it was funny.
Cashel, could you do something? Like, I can't remember who it was. Was it Matt Scratton?
It was so long ago. It could have been Matt.
It feels like it was Matt. Matt, you.
So she did this nicer version. Blah blah blah. Years go by. I put that thing up once in a while just for fun, and then the T-shirt thing came up. So here it is. If you are interested, this is what it's going to look like.
I already see somebody thumbs down. Thumbs down.
Good. I kind of agree. So it says Babinga. It is a combination of those two images with my ridiculous face on it, and in charcoal gray. These will be shipping from hot off the press from New Jersey, where my mom is now living.
Your mom's getting that together for us.
She's getting it together, so you have until January 1st to place your order. It's at the woodwhispererguild.com. Go into the store, and you will find the shirt right up there at the top.
It won't be for Christmas.
Not in time for Christmas. Definitely not. This is not a Christmas idea. It's just.
But this is us testing out a new process. For making shirts. So let's see how it goes.
I've been shaving, shaving before every Friday Live just to mess with people.
A baby face mark.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
All right, we should probably get into some questions here. We'll start with our Patreon. Do we have any thank yous for Patreon?
I'll look them up as you're asking me a question.
I don't want to talk. My voice hurts.
Well, these are the sacrifices we make, Nicole.
Oh, man, we got a lot of questions. All right, Araya, Woodworks. What's the best way to learn and understand angles in woodwork?
You make them.
And no, I didn't pay attention in school.
Yet, honestly, angles in woodworking, one of the best ways to understand them or to really brute force yourself to understand them is to do some crown molding. If you really want to get into some angles, go install some crown and you'll learn about angles real fast. It really is a matter of just practice, getting experience doing it, understanding the relationship. Even to this day, I still get confused on what we call an angle, right? Because anytime you have something between 0 and 90, let's say you have a 30-degree angle. So it's down like this. Depending on your reference point, you could also call that a 60-degree angle, right? Because here's the 30, but then from here to here is 60. So that gets confusing. And then also when you look at our tooling and you look at the angle on, let's say, a table saw, and you change the bevel angle, how that number relates to your reference point in your work. So getting all of that in sync can be pretty tricky. And all I can say is the more of it that you do What's that?
You said in sync.
Oh, God. The more of it you do in the shop, the easier it becomes. You just have to, it's that muscle you have to flex as often as possible. I wouldn't spend too much time with paper and pencil because I think it really helps if you have tangible things in front of you that help you understand these things. So that's what it comes down to. And then maybe go look at some basic geometry stuff and see if maybe there's some rules of thumb that maybe you forgot from school or didn't learn, didn't pay enough attention to in school, especially helping you complete the proper number of degrees for a full triangle, right? Understanding, the, 30, 60, 90 triangles. Everything has to be, a total of 180 degrees for a triangle?
And they said you wouldn't use math in real life.
They was wrong.
Ben Bodner, thank you for the heads up on, is that working? Yeah. He said, for those interested in the grandfather clock, it looks like the Clocket parts are out 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but you get a discount you still get the discount, right?
I think there's still a discount.
Yeah.
I got to say, since the beginning, working with them, Clocket has not been really very reliable. I don't mean to disparage them, but their inventory has not been reliable. There's been lots of times I've heard of them being out of stock. So
Well, they're so popular.
I guess. Let's go with that. Everybody wants to build grandfather clocks.
Matthew wants to know, is there a chance that the shirts will be another color besides charcoal?
Not right now.
Not right now. This is their first run of them, so.
Here's the thing when it comes to shirts. A lot of times I will pick what I would wear. And I know that might not be the best way to go, but I also didn't feel like doing like a survey and a poll, and it gets all messy. So I actually picked a shirt that I would not mind wearing, and that typically is something in the darker family, a little bit more subtle. So yeah, charcoal gray is what we have for now. But who knows? I don't even know if we're going to carry this shirt ongoing. This is just
a limited.
This, as far as I'm concerned right now,
run.
It's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
And we'll decide later if we want to actually redo these again in the future.
Yeah.
Or make them a regular item.
Travis just did a super chat for us and said, for your coffee fund.
Oh, well, thank you, Travis.
You have a new coffee fund.
That's good. I need one.
Yeah.
Because now, for the next 2 weeks, I have to drink different coffee.
You have to drink different coffee.
I'm on a special diet, y'all.
I don't have to drink different coffee.
Yeah, because my belly's all stupid.
Yeah. What is it called?
SIBO?
SIBO.
Anyone else out there suffer from
Find
SIBO?
a fellow SIBO sufferer.
Yeah, let's all gang together and let's talk about it.
Oh, Ohio. Old Ohio Angler wants to know if I'm wearing a Duluth shirt, and I am.
Yeah, you are.
I feel like I should go chop some wood.
You should. There's some right over there. I'll give you, here, there's an axe on the wall.
It's very comfortable.
It'd
What
be
is going
great
on?
if you would stop calling me.
Who is calling you?
Decline.
Mute that. Yeah,
What else?
we're fans. I'm a fan of Duluth. Let's see. Frick. Watched the workbench chest last night. Your thoughts on making it shorter to clear the leg vise with a spot to put a shooting board. What? Is that a question? Did I not?
I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Frick, you could do that. My thoughts on it, I wouldn't do that. My thoughts actually were pretty concisely stated in the video. I don't think it's worth it to make any dramatic changes to circumvent that issue with the leg vise. That's for me personally. If you feel like you could utilize that space for something like the shooting board or maybe the sliding dead man storage, that's totally up to you. I personally wouldn't do that.
So all of the videos for the cabinet are out,
Yep.
and all the videos for the Morley kitchen table are out,
Yep,
right?
both of those are done. We are done for the year.
He's actually supposed to be on vacation, but I'm like, hey, let's go fart around online.
Like James says, yeah, that shirt is definitely subtle. I said I want like a subtle, I'm talking about subtle. All right, don't point out my hypocrisy. You get me all, you're flustering, what did you say? You're frazzling my SHIT.
You're frazzling me. All right. Okay, so funny.
But you're right. And look, it's not my idea. It wasn't my idea.
Okay.
The whole thing is terrible.
Yoso has a question.
Yoso.
I haven't heard from Yoso in a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Good to hear from you, Yoso. In episode 161, way back in 2011, wow.
Oh, geez.
You mentioned that there was a new Festool sandpaper line. Is it granite?
I call it granite.
Granite.
You go ahead.
And that you didn't like it, didn't know much about it at the time, and that you would report back after you gained some experience. So my question is, how is the paper working? Do you keep using Festool paper on your sanders?
I do, yeah. And I still use the granite material that is some of the best sandpaper I've ever used. Now, I've got some Maverick Abrasives sandpaper that they sent me recently that I need to test out. The problem is it doesn't have the Festool hole pattern. So I'm not sure. I might just give those away and then buy some with the correct hole pattern so I could judge it one-to-one. But ultimately, you don't have to buy the Festool paper. If you find something with one of their, what do they call that, jet stream or whatever, air, hole patterns in there, it'll be fine. And you could even use a standard hole pattern. It will still work.
Can I take put a piece of paper and then push a pencil through it?
I would not do that. I would not recommend that, Nicole.
I would see my DIY nature. I'm like, yeah, I just make it myself.
Yeah, your DIY would be doing it wrong.
Yeah, okay.
But I would not recommend doing that. So yeah, overall though, if you just don't even want to think about it, excuse me, and you just want the good stuff, cut to the chase, granite is a fantastic all-around sandpaper. It's great stuff.
Got a question here from Chris Calnassi. Hey Mark, 2 questions. First, you mentioned an older Friday Live for snipe reduction in your PM planer.
Yeah.
You dropped the lower rollers just below the surface. Is it still holding true?
Yes.
Second, in regards to the hand tools and staying sharp, if you go through the scary sharp method, do you find that just a was it strop?
Strop.
What's a strop?
The leather
Oh.
with that gets loaded with an abrasive powder.
I thought he misspelled stop.
Nope.
Strop semi-frequently keeps the edge sharp with the proper tool usage.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what sharpening system you use prior to that, scary sharp or stones or whatever. If you are dedicated about using that strop, it absolutely can keep the tools sharper and extend your time between when you have to go back to your stones or to whatever system you use. So I'm sort of, I say that all the time. I don't actually do it, but it's a good idea. If you have a strop right at your workbench, you're doing a lot of chisel work, go ahead and hit that thing every once in a while. It's actually it's gonna be good. You just have to be dedicated to doing it.
So I'm not the only one that is thinking about punching the holes. Tommaso says he uses a leather punch to make the holes.
Oh, good for Tommaso.
And then James says at our makerspace, they made a machine hole punch to convert the sandpaper to Festool pattern.
Oh yeah, you realize both of these are effective ways to punch holes.
Yes.
You said shove a pencil through it. It's a very different thing. That's just putting a hole and then fraying the material. It's usually cloth backed,
Right.
like cloth backed. So you would have to, cut at some
Gotcha.
point, not just puncture. Anyway, as you were.
As I was. Ben said the clock discount still works, but Empire Clock is Hermes? Was it
Hermes? I don't know how
Hermes,
you
U.S.
pronounce it.
distributor. They have been great so far, and they match the clock at pricing.
Oh, that's good to know, Ben.
Oh, great to know. Put that in our back pocket. Don't throw any paper towels at me.
He's thinking about it.
My brother keeps threatening to throw paper towels at me because I look like the brawny man.
Yeah, the brawny girl.
Rocky C. Mark, when it comes to jigsaws, do you prefer the barrel grip or the D handle?
I usually gravitate to the D handle. I don't get upset, the barrel grip. I don't get upset if I end up with the D handle. It's fine. For the amount that I use it, it makes zero difference.
Zero.
One of the differences people tend to say the barrel grip can be a little bit more versatile is because you can kind of go and
Around.
operate under a workpiece a little bit easier. But ultimately, we're going to find 6 1/2 dozen. Geez, this week is bad. You're going to find it's pretty equivalent. Poll a group of woodworkers, half are going to like the barrel grip, half are going to like the D handle.
I just want to say welcome to Ken. It's his first time making it to live.
Welcome, Ken.
He couldn't remember his question, but that's okay. Hi, Ken. And my Borderlands 3 character was the robot Frack. What's his name? What?
I don't remember. I didn't get into it that much.
I renamed him, but he was the Beastmaster. He was awesome. And Ben did another.
Ho, ho, ho. Well, Merry Christmas to you, Ben.
Ho, ho.
Let's get-
We can't watch the Christmas Story because our kids freak out.
Yeah, they don't like it.
Every single time the little boy sticks his tongue on the pole.
Yeah.
The kids
Flick gets stuck to the pole.
they run away.
They don't like it.
You knew about him.
He cries whenever he sees that too.
No, he stuck his tongue. He was little, but we were in the grocery store.
Oh, really?
And he stuck his tongue on the metal in the freezer section.
That's good. How'd you get it off?
He ripped it off.
Oh, God, that sounds like it hurts.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was on a Sunday, wasn't it? Oh my gosh. Alan Lilich. I hope everyone's feeling better this week.
Yeah, obviously.
A little better. What's your take on the top versus bottom bearings on router bits for pattern trimming? I'm thinking more of the table use than handheld. Top seems slightly safer in not exposing the bit above the work, yet many high-end bits like Williams, Big Daddy bit are bottom bearing.
Well, it's all about strategy. Which side of the work do you want your template on? I agree with what you're saying. Have that exposed bit pointing up. It's a little bit intimidating when you see that. I think the best of both worlds is if you have a removable top bearing and a bottom bearing. So if you need to take the top off, you can do that. I think if you have a bottom bearing, it's probably going to be more versatile. Excuse me. Because you can do a workpiece that's thicker than the bit. Okay, so you do that first pass with your bearing up against the template, and then your work rises above that. Even if the bit is short, you could then raise the bit for a second pass later and get that whole thing done. If you had a top bearing bit, it's a lot harder to do that. You really have to work within the capacity of the cutters. So that's why I think the best option is to have one where the top bearing is removable, and there are numerous brands that offer that. So that would be the way I would go. But I do think the bottom bearing bit in a router table is probably going to be the most versatile, even if it is a little bit scarier. But look, if you come in contact with that bit, bearing or not, it's all going to be bad news. So just don't do it, and you'll be fine.
Don't do it. Can you read David? My throat hurt. Would you?
Yeah, I'm doing
some cough drops.
I'm doing 1,000 times better here. Okay, David says, finishing
drops.
question for you. I need to spray
Pause.
some white oak with General Finishes white and black poly. What is General Finishes white and black poly? I've actually mixed the two to make a charcoal gray. I don't know anything about that particular General Finishes finish. So I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. I have a Graco sprayer, but it simply puts out too much paint, even on the lowest setting. Given that I'm spraying small boxes and need the lightest coverage possible, what would you recommend? Do I need a Q5 HVLP? Would a professional airbrush machine work? It's killing me. I'm tired of resanding.
What's white and black poly?
Well, it sounds like poly that has had pigment put into it, so it acts a little bit more like paint. You know, you could try thinning it a little bit, but if the Graco is an airless sprayer, which it probably is, you're going to be outputting a lot of fluid. That's the idea behind that. You don't really atomize the paint. You are just kind of blowing it onto the surface. So thinning it may not necessarily help you much. HVLP is good, as long as it's thin enough, you'll be able to atomize that stuff and get that really nice light coat on there. That probably is the way to go. Do I think you need to get a Q5 HVLP? Definitely not.
Probably a 3, right?
Yeah, you could probably pull this off with as low as like a 3. Some people dilute enough and use the right air cap set, and you can go to a 2-stage turbine. But I do think if you're doing a lot of this, HVLP might be the thing you want to use to get that finer spray, especially if you don't want so thick of a layer that it obscures the grain. You also might try playing with changing the formula a little bit, not necessarily thinning it so much as adding, and again, I don't know what the product is, so I'm a little hesitant to make the recommendation, but if it's providing too much coverage, you could put some regular maybe armor seal in there to thin out the amount of pigment in there, so that even if you do spray a thicker layer, more of the grain is going to show itself through. That's a possibility as well.
All right, Jack has a question. I need a marking knife. No, I don't want the paper towels. And those are the wrong ones. I need the severe ones, the minty ones. I'm sorry. I know, I'm being picky.
Okay, I need a marking knife, and I've tried a hobby knife, box cutter, and razor. What do you find? Non-flimsy and ergonomic.
What do you use for your marking knife?
I have a check edge tool marking knife that I really, really like. It's got a flat side and then a beveled side. 2 bevels on it, so it comes to a nice point. It's a very fine blade on there. Now, there are a lot of marking knives with much beefier blades. Those are easier to sharpen because you can kind of get a hold of them a little bit better. So the downside of a really tiny thin blade is the fact that it's a little bit trickier to sharpen. But I find that to be more versatile. You can get it in more places, and I like it better. So the check edge tool marking knife, that's the one that I use the most.
Where'd you get that at?
Check edge tool.
Check edge tool?
Yeah,
Not
I don't
on
know.
Amazon, thank you.
I'm not sure.
Appreciate it.
This was like 10 years ago.
Oh,
that I
wow.
bought that
Do
thing.
they even make them anymore?
Of course. It's a company.
I don't know. Sometimes companies go out of
They
business.
do, but just because it was 10 years ago doesn't mean they're gone.
I will recommend the Vicks VapoCool
good.
ones, the severe ones. They're great.
Yeah.
We got another question from Brian McQueen.
I want to use some magnets to keep my chisels from banging into each other. Will the magnets magnetize the chisels and cause issues with sharpening? I've got my chisels held in place with magnets, and I have not given that a second thought. I would advise you to also not give that a second thought.
There you go.
I mean, maybe if they became super magnetized, someone in the chat room is probably going to tell us that their cousin did this and their house imploded and all stuck to the chisel. But honestly, I don't really see, especially if it's just a small rare earth magnet in one spot on it. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Taylor wants to know, I'm making dice boxes at present. Oh, will you make me one of those?
Yep.
Please.
I'm busy. I'm on vacation.
So fun. because I want to get it more into D&D with Mateo.
Sure, and a dice box is going to make all the
Oh
difference.
no, you put the dice. It's cute. Anyway, I'm using a handheld router and a dish cutting bit and a template. I'm having trouble getting the template edges to be completely straight. Any tricks for this?
I think I need to know more about your template. Why aren't you able to get them straight? How are you cutting them? What are you using to finesse them after the fact?
He says he's using a handheld router.
Right, but how is he making the template? You know those plastic ones up there from Eagle America, MLCS? That's the kind of thing he's doing. So he's got a template, and the trouble is getting the ends straight, and he's having trouble with that.
Gotcha.
So it kind of depends on how you're making those cuts. Sometimes, I mean, you're talking about a pretty small item, so it's not like you could just put a circular saw and a straight edge and get a nice straight cut. A lot of times I just use sandpaper on a backer, something that's got, you know, some firmness to it. So after maybe I jigsaw or get close to a line that is straight, then I work back to that line with rasps and sandpaper, and I try to use stuff that is hard so that it doesn't sort of conform to any weird surface stuff. You just kind of rub it back and forth, and it will flatten it to a degree. I mean, it sometimes these things just don't work out, and it's not perfect.
The chat room's like, yes, join us, Nicole. Come to the dark side. Let's see. We got a question. Oh, let me close that one up. We did David Charles Masters. Mark, I hope that you're feeling. You were feeling bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. We all were.
You're so blinded by your man cold that you forgot about
my
mine.
man cold. Yeah, I've had it since a week. Question is, how many coats of spray shellac should I use before spraying with lacquer? Most of my projects have been finished with polyurethane, but I'm trying to branch out and go for another feel and look.
0.
What does that mean?
I would need to know why you're spraying shellac before the lacquer at all. I mean, there might be some strategic reason why you're doing that, but shellac and lacquer kind of very similar in terms of being evaporative finishes. But if you are ultimately looking for a lacquer finish, there's no reason to spray with shellac. So my answer to that is 0.
Taylor gave us a little bit more information. A template was made by drilling the ends with a Forstner bit and connecting with the jigsaw.
Yeah, okay. So you're looking at, this is how I would do it. I would get a rasp, like I said. You hold it sort of on an angle, skewed, back and forth. You flatten that edge down. And then I get a piece of sandpaper on a backer of maybe a 1/4 inch thick MDF or something you know to be nice and flat and firm. Get that sandpaper on there and just keep going back and forth, edge to edge, trying to flatten it out and work back to your line. That's usually the best you can hope for on something like that.
Somebody asked something about the guild projects.
Hey, Jay.
You need some water?
I do need some water, man.
Sorry.
Look, you're sitting here doing nothing.
I am doing something.
Drinking coffee. Well, somebody has to. There's no more coffee in my cup. I'm not saying you have to do anything about it. I'm just, do you want to,
here it is.
do you want to refill
I
my
found it.
cup or you want me to get a new one?
Jay Cooney wants to know, speaking of
The look on his face right now.
speaking
You spitting this?
Speaking of guild projects, with 2019 done, only 4 set up for 2020 at this point. Any preliminary plans for new ones? Only one left pre-order is the spindle turning, and I don't have a lathe.
No, there are no plans at this point. One thing that we're gonna, I mean, there might be. You never
Yeah.
know. You never
Like
know.
the box,
The one thing,
bread box.
a mistake that we made, and this is a whole pendulum swinging in different directions sort of thing. We swung a little too far in one direction by putting pre-orders up too early. And I'm moving to a system where we may plan well ahead for these things, but we will no longer be putting pre-orders up like 8 months in advance.
Yeah.
It's just
A lot of
it's
people
not-
get confused. They're like, oh, I thought this was happening this year.
That's what told us that
Yeah.
we knew we had made a mistake.
Yeah.
When people were buying Daryl Peart's dresser, chest of drawers project, and thought it was going to happen this October, this past October,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we should not be, like, what are we doing? So I don't know that we're going to be adding any more projects in 2020, possibly, but you won't have as much notice. The pre-order won't be open for as long. So I'm not making any promises, though, because I think we kind of, again, pendulum swung too far the other way. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen this year.
For the people that have been in the guild since 2009, I remember when
I remember back when.
I only had 3 choices.
Thanks, Jay. I see your loogie in there too.
It's a big cup.
Tastes
I remember when there
coffee.
were only 2 guild projects.
Yeah. And I think the guild is, I mean, it would be nice. I don't know. Sometimes I think it would be nice to have just this like huge menu of projects. But the thing with the guild projects is they are an experience. They're a legitimate class. And to produce that level of quality and to make so many projects, it's like, it's not that kind of thing. It is the kind of thing that's a special experience. And having too many of them just means that we would be working our butts off all year long just to get these projects out. And I think it's more special if we are very selective about what we do in the guild,
And present.
who we allow in the guild, and how it's presented, as opposed to just flooding you guys with, you know, a Ted's Woodworking 16,000 projects, you know.
Vincent.
So 4 a year is a really nice number to me.
Yeah, I like it. Maybe even 5.
We did a drop-in project last year,
yeah.
the bread box.
Yeah.
So there's not, you know, that's not to say that we won't. I might get a wild hair and want to go down to Philip's shop to do a follow-up with him, or a follow-up with Jory. And what we'll do is we'll probably know a couple months in advance, then it goes up for pre-order, and then it'll be there.
Vincent wants to know if you have a video on making a router table.
I don't.
You don't.
No, I made a router table pre-Wood Whisperer,
That's right.
and since
It was
disassembled it, and
it was kind of ugly.
listen, woman, it was I think cherry
And
outlined.
Purple heart.
No, outlined in Paduke.
Oh, Purdue.
So the Paduke turned into this like beautiful blood red color, and it was garish, maybe? Would that be the right word?
I don't know what that word means.
It means what you're thinking.
Okay. Or a router table that can be attached to a table saw.
So no, Vincent, I have not done that. I'm sorry.
Let's go back to Patreon. We got, I did Charles. Michael Cedar. He even told me how to pronounce his
He
name.
did.
I'm about to upgrade my dust collection to an Oneida, and I'm thinking about switching out my dust gates to the IVAC auto ones.
Sure.
I saw that you installed some last year and
Yep.
wanted to get your opinion on them. I also saw one of your videos where you had a magnetic connection for moving the hose between tools. Can you tell me who makes it?
Sure. So the IVAC switches have been great and a pain in the butt. And the reason they've been a pain in the butt is because I've had repeated failures on certain ones. Now, I don't know if this is something they fixed with a firmware upgrade or what, but we have replaced each and every one of our blast gates because they would just stop working. They would kind of get frozen. And that really sucks when you expect it to be working. The whole idea of automatic is that you don't have to think about it, right? So then you go along and you're jointing and you're jointing. Next thing you know, there's wood chips flying all over the place because now your jointer is completely jammed with chips. So I contacted them, let them know what the problem was, and they have since replaced pretty much every single one of our blast gates. We have not had a problem since then. So all of the replacements, again, I don't know whether there was a hiccup or the ones I had were just bad, but they have seemingly fixed the problem. So outside of that issue, it has been pretty great. I mean, the only thing I don't like about it, and it's just something you have to get used to, is you turn a tool off, then there's a countdown, and you could set the amount of time for how long the dust collector stays on after a tool turns off. If you don't have that number set right, you turn a table saw off, you go do something at the workbench, and now you need to go to the bandsaw, it may shut down the system in that time, and what you really wanted is to leave it on. So you have to keep the remote around, and if you shut that down and you know you're gonna be like a minute, you may as well just hit the on button, let the machine run and stay on, and then you have to manually, with the remote, turn it off when you're done with that sequence, so that you're not constantly cycling your dust collector on and off.
We have an IVAC discount in the guild too, right?
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I mean, it's pricey stuff. It's a workshop luxury, but it is something that is really nice. Jay and I will pop on any tool at any given time in any order, and we don't even have to think about blast gates. It's a real nice luxury.
And what's the magnetic thingy?
Magport?
Magport.
I think that's it. Magport. Look it up.
Google it.
Pretty sure, guys. So what he's talking
We'll
about,
put it in the show notes too.
it's a quick disconnect that basically is like 3D printed, or somehow, I think the guy, at least the initial prototypes were 3D printed, goes onto the end of your flex hose, the other end goes onto your tool, and it's just got a series of magnets that pop in. People have been making, there's actually some free files out there for folks with 3D printers that they have made these things, and you just pop them on with magnets, And it's super nice. We use one to go between the jointer and the new location for the router table. Jay's bringing one here. Looks like this. So pretty nice little setup. You got a bunch of rare earth magnets, real good positive connection. Does not come apart easily, but I think it's called Magport.
Big Willie's Garage picked up the miter station in the Guild. If I wanted to freestand it, would you do a solid backboard, or could I use a big stretcher so I could bring in dust collection in the back?
I would definitely do a solid back. I don't think the stretchers are going to provide enough support from racking. And the thing is, you're moving this thing around, right? So it's on wheels, you're putting sideways pressure. You really want a back panel on there. You could strategically, in the location where you might want to bring in dust collection, you could go with a half back panel, put a gap in there, maybe have part of it at the top, part at the bottom, or use a series of stretchers. But there's a lot more than just that one section, right? So as long as most of it is a back panel, you could probably get away with some kind of a hybrid solution there. But certainly that back panel, that's one thing a lot of people learn early on in woodworking, is how important back panels are for the structure of a cabinet. And without them, how weak they can be, right? So the back panel, I do think, is an important thing. Mine are secured to a wall, which is why I just went with simple stretchers in the back.
Derek wants to know if we're doing another Christmas gift recommendation thing.
If we find time. At this point now,
I've been so sick. I've.
It's all Nicole's fault, right?
Honestly, if those things get pushed by me, and if I'm sick, I just want to sleep. I'm sorry. It's
And the thing is, technically,
and we have a number
I am
of
on
them.
vacation.
You are on vacation.
And I'm trying not to work. With Friday Live is like the exception, and a few other little things.
We still have some. If you go to the Amazon store, amazon.com/shop/the Wood Whisperer, we do have a holiday gift guide recommendation from last year, and we still got the videos. We've done 3, I think.
Yeah.
So we don't do them every year. So.
Nope.
No is the question. I'm sorry, Derek. I'm probably not going to have that.
Nathan's question kind of ties into what we were just talking about. You've mentioned in 2019 that you've been able to really knock out lots of free content, which is awesome. Do you see 2020 being a year where you do more guild projects with Jason around? No. I think tying into what we just said, my goal is to not stuff the guild with projects. That's not my goal.
Yeah.
I want to be very selective there. The free site, however, is where I want to stuff tons of projects and have as much content as we can do with keeping the quality high. So my guess for 2020 is we will be doing even more free content and continuing on the path of specialized, high-end content in the guild.
Let's see. We did Michael's. Let's do David. David Kraus. Mark, I'm making a 2-inch oak wood slices for Christmas gifts. They will not fit in my planer, so I built a router sled based on your video to flatten them.
Okay, as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, he's just giving 2-inch pieces of wood to people as Christmas gifts? Like, here you go. What is it? It's a giant coffee stirrer. He's talking about 2-inch thick boards.
Oh, wood slices.
So he's slicing, but he's talking about boards.
Is he?
Well, what would a 2-inch stick of wood do for anyone?
Well, if it's, I don't know.
Well, you know what I mean?
What I was thinking was like the circles that are like ornaments or coasters. You see those all the time.
Okay, well, maybe we should read the rest of his question. It might enlighten us.
The sled works great. The slices have a live edge bark. My question is, what can I do to stabilize the edge? They are firmly attached now, but I don't want them to fall off later. I also don't think the tried and true finish I plan to use on the surface will do much to stabilize the bark.
It's a good question, David.
I'm telling you, I think he's slicing like.
Regardless, even if he's doing little cookies,
yeah,
or a straight board that has a live edge, which is what he said, so that's why I'm thinking he's doing 2-inch wood boards.
Okay.
Whatever. He wants to stabilize the bark. I haven't really done this much, David, so hopefully the chat room can give you some suggestions. My first inclination would be to maybe use something like an epoxy sealer, like CPES or something. Very thin epoxy that can absorb in there and just kind of help hold those fibers together. That might be something that would stabilize that. Matt Cremona probably has done videos showing something like this. This sounds like something that would be up his alley. But I don't do much live edge work, so I don't really know. But again, chat room, if you have a better suggestion than putting some epoxy in this thing, go ahead and let them know.
Sean Harrison, if you had to switch shops with anyone's current or past shops, who would you pick and why?
Mine. My current shop.
Yeah.
I was talking this question, I read this question earlier, and I was talking to Jay about this. I'm like, I'm okay with our shop.
You don't want Matt Cremona's like bandsaw or the lumber chopper thingy? Whatever.
No, I don't want Matt Cremona's tiny little shoebox shop that he
has that-
shoehorns giant tools into.
He has that big old wood slicer thing.
Yeah, but I don't want to be outside slicing logs.
Sawmill, that's
Yeah,
right.
Jason will do it. So, you know, the thing is, there are things about this shop that aren't perfect, but it's my imperfect shop. I love this shop. I love the fact that it's attached to my house. I could, you know, if we really wanted to, we could go and shop for a commercial space, and then Jason and I can commute to Denver every day to go go into our 2,000 square foot facility. I don't want to do that. Like, I like having a hobby shop that veers into the professional territory. Like, I love that comfortable home sort of feeling that we have in this space. I wouldn't trade this for anything. Now, that said, if I could take this space and get about 10 more feet on that side, I would totally go for that. You know, and also, I don't really know much about other people's shops.
Yeah.
I think you're probably thinking of like other YouTubers and stuff. I don't pay attention to what anyone else does, so I don't know what anyone else's shops look like.
Barely pay attention to what we have to do.
Yeah, right now, I'm just thrilled that Jason was able to level all the high spots on the
He
floor.
did.
And all the trip hazards are now gone, at least until like 2 years from now.
When the
rise
ground back up.
The ground shifts again and half of my house starts sliding into my neighbor's house. At that time, we'll worry about that.
Oh.
But honestly, I am lucky to have this space. This is a good size 4-car garage. We've got heat, we've got air conditioning, we've got great lighting. What's not to love?
And I've just resigned myself to the fact that my car will eventually have hail damage.
Well, especially with the change that's coming, if we go with this thing that I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to do a little teaser.
Yeah.
But we're going to be making a big
pull a Johnson.
change over there, and there won't be the ability to quickly move stuff out of the way. So
I wonder
there's
what
that.
it could be. Tim JB would
Jason
love.
wants a tanning bed.
I just go outside.
So he's into the taint tanning.
Get out of here.
Thing.
They don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sure some of you
Some
know
of you follow
what
him on
I'm
Facebook.
talking about.
Tim JB would love an updated David Marks shop tour. I would too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Somebody do that.
Let's go visit David in Victoria.
If I'm ever up in Northern California, I would absolutely
I would love to see them
go
again.
visit. It would be great.
Matthew says if you do a follow-up with Philip,
Follow up with Philip.
his vote would be his lounge chair.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that we're considering, Matthew.
Party.
He contacted me a couple months ago, actually, to see do we want to do something like that. So I think the Morley lounge chair may be the next thing to happen. You know what's funny? All of the Morley stuff is going to have his name on it.
Yeah.
He's so into himself. What's up with that?
Could you imagine if everything you built was like the spag?
Yeah, I'm not going to be doing
the spag clock.
Yeah, this January or whenever my next project is, I'm not going to do the nesting tables. I'm going to do the Spagnolo nesting tables.
There you go, the spag.
Spag nesting tables.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue like Morley. Morley sounds.
Hey, look, if my
like
designs
nice.
were as good as Philip's, I might put my name on it.
Jack asked, would you ever consider doing a skill builder video on the guild at various degrees of difficulty while there isn't an end project? So technique, I'm guessing. Like using essential joinery and making a video guide to match it.
Possibly that would require things like that. Whenever we go like to something like a cool idea like that, it's not in the current paradigm, right? So we would have to, something would have to change. I'd have to make time to be able to dedicate to a thing like that. It's definitely possible.
Simple varnish finish is a technique. It's not a project.
Yeah, we have talked about, can we do like foundational technique courses and put those in the guild and kind of make them almost like thinking of it like a school. Here's the 101 stuff you should probably take before you do these other things. So it's definitely a possibility.
But I will say each guild project is meant to give you the information you need for that specific project.
Yeah.
So you don't have to necessarily do that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
We got another question
That is true.
here from Patreon from Donald. Good morning. I was not able to watch live today. He's going Christmas shopping with the wife.
Good. That's a better use of your time.
Have you ever used...
Sitting on a bench waiting for her to finish, looking at your phone.
Have you ever used mesquite in a project? And if so, which one?
Nope.
Nope.
So I can't tell you which
It's
one.
funny because we
didn't.
lived in Arizona and there was a lot of mesquite in Arizona.
Yeah, there was. Never used it. I hear it's really hard.
So, sorry, Donald.
And I like to pronounce it mesquite.
Mesquite. Hope you had a good shopping day.
Hey, Jay, can you double check and make sure that the focus point is on like my shirt or something? Someone said we're going out of focus. And if it may be just their bit rate is dropping and not necessarily us going out of focus, but just in case.
Got a super chat from James. Switched from a 12-inch... What?
No, hold on. Let's talk about that for a minute. Chris says, women are such babies when they're sick. Here's the thing. There's this whole like, oh, the man flu. And it makes for a funny video to put on Facebook and share with your friends, and all the girls can be like, ha 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 ha. The men are so like...
Because I still have to take care of the kids when I'm sick.
Oh, and
When
I don't?
You're sick. You're in bed or playing a video game.
Right, that's exactly what I do with my day, right? Yeah, anyway.
Anyway.
You woman flu. Go ahead.
James.
I feel so... I'm hot. I must go lay down. I can't take the children to school today. Will you do it, husband?
I asked you to...
No.
No.
Let's move
No,
past
no.
it.
No,
I got my last shot in. Let's move past it. Okay, James says, switch from a 12-inch chop saw, jet chop saw, to Capex. Struggling with rough wood. Capex binds and is thrown back at me. I think the kerf is collapsing on the blade. 4/4 to 8/4. Thoughts? Just difference in saw size or something else? I don't know, James. I'd have to see this. It shouldn't be happening regardless. If it's getting bogged down because the wood's coming in, it sounds like the wood is just coming in, which means either the wood is having, there's some pressure in there or something that's being released when you're making that cut, which can definitely happen, or possibly something with the table. Double check and make sure that the table is nice and flat and that those outer wings aren't causing it to drop. So once you release a little bit pressure and you start to cut, the piece kind of collapses in on itself because there's a gap there. So check the flatness of that table, make sure the work is fully supported. But it could also just be the wood that you happen to be cutting right now wants to bind on itself. We have this happen all the time. The rougher the wood, the more chance that's going to happen. So if it's completely unmilled, you start diving into that thing and it's real thick, it's actually more often than not, you're going to have some kind of a problem, which is why you'll see people make multiple cuts as they go, because you're reopening that kerf as it starts to collapse in. You're widening that kerf and making sure that by the time you're at the bottom, there's not enough material there to pinch the blade.
Hey, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to Dale. Thank you for the nice words. He just said he learned a lot from us.
Oh, good.
Not from me, from him probably.
No, you learn by osmosis and you share that information.
Big Willie's Garage wants to know, after milling wood for a project, how long should they wait before building with it? I guess it depends on his environment, right?
Well, it could. It also depends on the wood that you're starting with. But if it is fairly well seasoned wood, there's no reason to wait. I mean, you can. There are times if I suspect that the wood might have a little bit more moisture, I might do a little bit of a pre-milling, thin it down just a bit, leave it overnight, and then come back the next day and do the finish milling that, as soon as I'm ready to bring that thing into a panel or bring it into joinery. But ultimately, if it's well-seasoned, kiln-dried wood, just start your project.
David had a recommendation for those stabilizing the bark. Total Boat, penetrating epoxy on live edge. So far, so good.
Okay, that was kind of what I recommended. Also, I saw Worth Effort mentioned using thin CA
Oh, there it is.
as a possibility.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Drizzle the CA.
Thin CA glue to kind of firm up the layer, which is the cambium layer, which is where that is likely to let go.
It pop
What else
off.
we got? Well, you can imagine over time it would just kind of lose its hold on there. So
I'm just scrolling.
Someone said that's just wrong.
Probably talking about
The taint tanning. No, look at the timing on this.
Yeah, I'm a little.
So you're far back.
You
You got to get with the times.
I'll scroll all the way down. All right. Well, guess what?
What?
It's 10:30, and I got to get going.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was fast.
It was fast.
Okay.
We made it through all the Patreon questions.
Good.
Let me just double check to make sure I don't have any more super chats. If you asked a question in the chat, I'm sorry if I scrolled by it.
Yeah, we just went past like 100 comments.
I jump around, so.
I jump around. Jump up and get down.
So we will be doing a show next week, next Friday. Do you want to make that our Christmas show? What are we doing?
I don't know.
Because we got stuff to give away, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll do a giveaway. We'll just have to put some
Well,
thought into it
Empower
between now
gave
and
us
then.
something.
Yeah.
Mitch from Eagle America MLCS. You want to give away something?
Yeah,
Email
hey,
me.
Mitch.
Hey,
Mitch.
Mitch.
Over here.
Hey, Mitch.
Look at me juggling these things.
Get out of here.
I don't know what that was.
Uh,
Okay, we're good then, right?
So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pick a winner for the chat. I'm gonna pick Donald as our winner for the Guild Project because he's out shopping with his wife.
Attaboy.
So Donald, email me.
I'm going to answer Sean's question to close out the show.
Okay.
He's doing a culling of channels that he follows to lower distractions. Opinions on who/what you follow. No one. I follow mostly like maybe a couple video game things, couple things that
Barbecue.
like barbecue, maybe a couple things that kids watch that I know I'm going to need to go see. I don't follow anybody. So I might not be the right person to ask. I take a strategy, and I know a lot of people do this as well. I go looking for information on YouTube when I need it. I don't watch anybody religiously or repeatedly.
Including himself.
Why would I watch myself? I'd be like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
It was cute that Ava was like, I want to watch The Wood Whisperer. That was cute last night.
Yeah, she wasn't saying that though.
What was she saying?
It sounded like she said wood whisperer, but it was something from her show.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
she was saying whisper.
Oh.
There's a character called Whisperer.
Oh, from Yokai.
Yes.
Yokai Watch.
Yes, and I said, you want to watch the Wood Whisperer? I was joking. So Sean, get them all out of there. And then if you sit there and you go, I really miss seeing Matt Cremona doing some stupid thing with a log, then go subscribe to Matt Cremona. But for me personally, I don't really watch anybody, man. So I'm not the best person to ask that question to. No, but I do like last night. I started to looking. I can't say what I was searching for because it would ruin what the surprise that's coming in the future.
Okay.
But I was searching for something, and I found a few channels. I go, hey, I know that guy, or like, oh, I met that guy at a show once before, and I watched it because I was interested in that topic at that moment, and that's what I needed to research. So that's kind of, I go on an as-needed basis. I don't follow anybody, religiously.
Sometimes it's good to start with a clean slate.
It is.
So when I clean out the refrigerator, I take everything out, and then I
do that with my phone.
Yeah, apps.
Every time, every couple of years when we get a new phone, I don't do the backup thing.
Yeah.
I just start fresh. And if I go,
miss?
oh, I missed that, then I put it back. There are so many apps on your phone that you don't even need to have there.
Yeah.
Same thing with probably subscriptions to channels. Yeah. If you don't really miss them or you don't remember that you were subscribed to them, then you don't need to be subscribed.
I want to say hi to SG. She's in the chat. She stays up pretty late.
What
for
up,
us.
Ness?
So hope you're doing well, Ness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Terry. Let's do Terry's question.
I thought we were done.
We were almost done, but Terry
Archibald.
Terry, you pulled me back in. He wants to begin furniture building after building on the hobbyist craft side. What would be a good intermediate piece of furniture to start with?
Why did you pick this question?
Because it's the shaker table. I know the answer to this.
I don't know.
But if it's a guild project, it's shaker table.
But it looks like he's
building furniture.
looking to do something a little bit more substantial than craft stuff.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So a shaker table is a great option. But generally speaking, I like to build things that are needed, right?
Yeah.
Either you, a family member, someone needs this thing. That's a great thing to start with because it's a higher stakes item. It's something that you're gonna, if you make mistakes or you have little victories, they mean more on a project that truly matters, right? So sure, a shaker table is nice, but if you don't need one, it's gonna be kind of one of those projects that you might not care that much about. So I would recommend finding something someone needs and satisfying that need, but learning along the way. That's how I like to do things.
That's how I like to do things too.
Yeah.
Find a need. What is that? What movie is that? Find a need.
See a need, fill a need, or something like that.
Yes, see a need, fill a need.
The robot one.
Oh yeah, the robots.
Yeah.
It's called robots.
Right,
That's
robots.
Right.
There you go. And hopefully Sean's getting some good suggestions in the chat for.
The chat can help.
Yeah, I'm just.
Nothing.
You think it's because because of when we started that I don't do that? Like when I started searching for information, I was
There was
collecting
no information.
DVDs
Yeah.
and things like that. There
Yeah.
wasn't any information there. I never got into the habit of subscribing to
Yeah.
YouTube channels.
Right.
And I just ran out of time. And time is like my most valuable asset. So I'm focused on making my content, and I don't have enough time for that.
And once we threw kids into the mix,
Kids ruin everything, right?
they just change priorities.
AKA ruin everything. So I've never got into that habit of subscribing to people.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I was a major, big time consumer of woodworking content.
Right. Podcast too.
But when all this woodworking content suddenly became available, I just wasn't paying a lot of attention to it. I'm trying to figure out, like within my head, why that happened the way that it did. I don't know.
Well, it's sometimes too when you take a hobby and turn it into work.
That's
a
true.
business.
That's true. I don't want to spend my spare time when
Yeah.
I have other hobbies.
Right.
I don't want to spend that time.
Yeah, you like barbecue.
diving into
you like
woodworking
video
stuff.
games. So, all right, we'll see you next week.
You picked a winner, right?
I did.
Okay.
Donald. Donald got the project.
I like the title. Matt doing stupid things with logs.
Yeah. So if you're wondering what's happening in the chat, Showbot is how we pick the name of the title. You can vote on them. We just pick our favorite.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, hey, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Bye. Stay well.
Unlike us,
Away from little kids.
kids ruin everything, Nicole. Even our health.
Just wait until they move out.
Okay, let me get this. Oh, mama.
That's the show title.
Kids ruin everything.